good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers.
Hello everyone, I'm Trevor and welcome back to the Knowledge Management e-learning video series. Remember last video we watched? In that video, we defined knowledge management using Girard's definition that, quote, knowledge management is the process of creating, sharing, using, and managing the knowledge and information of an organization, unquote. We also define the terms data, information, and knowledge, and discuss some examples of each. Right now in this video, we are going to look at two knowledge management models and discuss the two main different types of knowledge. Before we go further, I have a few introductory remarks, because context is key with knowledge management. How we're able to apply knowledge management in our work varies widely according to the needs of our individual positions. In our jobs, we have different ways of managing the information that we collect, and this can change often with new projects and technologies. So rather than suggest specific tools or focus on coaching you individually, this e-learnings are instead going to be heavy on theories and ideas. The goal is to teach you new ways to think critically and make positive changes using the lessons you have learned here. Because the best person to improve knowledge management in your organization is you. Now, we understand better what data, information, and knowledge mean, and we even talk briefly about wisdom. So let's organize these terms into a pyramid diagram using what we already know. No, I didn't just choose a pyramid because it's a convenient shape, or because pyramids seem to be the symbol of choice for conspiracy theorists the world over. I chose it because it is reflective of the realities that come with knowing things. The world is filled with data, so much data that you could never possibly comprehend all of it. The world is also filled with information, with the internet having so much material that no human could ever possibly read everything. But we do have a finite amount of knowledge, and this knowledge influences our wisdom and judgments and ultimately guides us when we are taking action. Now, there are going to be some words that fly in onto the screen. These words are existing, collecting, organizing, analyzing, and acting. Don't worry about memorizing these. They are simply here to help better explain the process as we move towards the top of the knowledge management pyramid. The data is existing and needs to be collected and organized to be considered information, then analyzed or considered critically to be given relevance to be labeled as knowledge. Everything on the lower levels of the pyramid contributes to our wisdom to act in the best and most effective way. The field of knowledge management in a formalized or academic sense is relatively new, and there are many complex models utilized to describe the processes. For-profit companies in the business world have largely led the way on developing knowledge management theory and strategy as a way to better use the knowledge of its employees to further increase profit margins. Just think of HP in the last video. However, there are many non-profit uses for it as well. Let's consider for a second the difference between a business and a non-profit organization such as the Philippine Red Cross. What is the goal of a business? To make money, of course. And what is the goal of a non-profit organization? To provide more assistance and help to more people. So where businesses use knowledge management strategies to increase their profit margins, non-profit organizations can use similar tools and techniques to instead help more people.
There are reports that there is no evidence of a direct link between Baghdad and some of these terrorist organizations.
There are known knowns. There are things we know, We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Excuse me, but is this an unknown unknown?
I'm not.
Several unknowns, and I'm just wondering if this is an unknown
I'm not going to
unknown.
say which it is.
Well, Mr. Secretary, if you
No,
believe,
I'm right here.
if you believe
I'm right
something,
here.
The United States military has also been a leader in the field of knowledge management, paying especially close attention to knowledge management in recent years during the rapidly changing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. U.S. Army Field Manual 3 TAC 24 emphasizes the importance for knowledge management, stating that in asymmetric situations, quote, the side that learns faster and adapts more rapidly, the better learning organization, usually wins, unquote, and cites the ability to learn and adapt as the key to successfully achieving organization goals. Of course, the Red Cross does not fight enemies and instead acts as a humanitarian organization in times of disaster and conflict. But like the American military, it is a large, complex organization with a presence all around the world. And the Red Cross definitely has competitors. There are many barangay, national, and international organizations that rush to provide assistance after disasters. If the Red Cross cannot efficiently provide services, other organizations may receive public and private donations to respond to the next disaster. To maintain its status as the premier humanitarian response organization, the Red Cross should embrace knowledge management practices to make the best possible use of its employees to accomplish its missions. How exactly can we do this? We're going to get into that real soon. Now, the U.S. Army developed this model, which is called the Knowledge Management Competency Model. I'd like to share it with you for several reasons. First, it was developed by another non-corporate organization. And second, I like how it recognizes that there are many components to the knowledge management. Most important of all, it recognizes that people have to come first before technology. This is going to be a theme of this e-learning and will be repeated a few more times. We'll see later that the best knowledge management systems focus on their people, because people typically learn best from other people. This model has a lot of steps, and don't worry about memorizing them all. The key lesson you should remember from this model is that people come first. Knowledge management leadership and culture are critical first steps to knowledge management systems, and only once these practices are firmly in place should technology play a driving role in the process. If you want to look at this model again, Dr. Anthony Reb has this nice colorized version available on his website with a link found in the Google Classroom. So what about knowledge? You may have remembered that earlier I mentioned there are two main types of knowledge. These are explicit knowledge and tacit knowledge. Let's tackle the definition of explicit knowledge first, because it is quite straightforward. Explicit knowledge is knowledge that is already codified or systematized. This is another way of saying explicit knowledge groups together things that can be easily learned entirely from books, documents, reports, memos, and in the case of the Philippine Red Cross, many PowerPoint presentations. Explicit knowledge is easily identified, shared, and employed because the means of acquiring knowledge can easily be transferred within an organization. An example of explicit knowledge in the Philippine Red Cross is the orientation that volunteers receive to the organization when they first become involved with the Red Cross. Tacit knowledge is much less straightforward to explain because by nature it cannot be easily itemized and transferred. This includes widely diverse skills such as knowing how to ride a bike, speak a language, play a musical instrument, or cook a perfect meal. Even operating computers can now arguably be considered tacit knowledge. And everything else you see people doing in these wild video clips. Sure, There are books on how to cook, but it is doubtful that you will be an expert chef after reading just one book, much like you are unlikely to speak fluent Korean after watching just one K-drama series. Instead, tacit knowledge includes things that are typically learned by experience and from person-to-person interactions. Tacit knowledge is what you already have stored in your mind and often don't even realize that you know it. You are constantly learning and forming conclusions about your organization even before you join it. On a more abstract level, tacit knowledge includes workplace culture, processes, roles and expectations, skills, capabilities, learnings from experience, and so much more that we intuitively know. These are things that we learn over time and primarily tacitly. We learn most of the rules and norms by observing, doing, and piecing together bits of information communicated to us over hundreds, if not thousands, of encounters with colleagues. All of this helps you to contribute to your organization. So, if tacit knowledge is really so difficult to communicate, do I really need to bother doing anything about it? Yes, you absolutely should. People typically learn best from experience and from other people. The Red Cross relies on tacit knowledge for many things, especially for workplace culture and processes. Think of blood services. Every day when they go on a blood collection drive in the field, they are utilizing tacit knowledge to help mobilize the team and especially community to collect blood in the most appropriate way. This involves knowledge that leaders in blood services have developed after years of practice. There may be some written records of processes, remember this is explicit knowledge, but much of the knowledge, such as the best way to engage with communities, is in fact tacit knowledge that is kept in our heads. If everyone on your blood services team quit today and a new team of nurses and med techs replace them tomorrow, it is unlikely that they could perform the same job as effectively as your last team because they would be lacking the tacit knowledge of how to collect blood for the Red Cross in your province. Tacit knowledge is difficult to share, but valuable to an organization. So, Trevor, how am I supposed to share tacit knowledge if by definition it cannot easily be transferred? There are a number of ways that tacit knowledge is most effectively transferred between people, and steps that an organization can take to support this. The first is allowing and even encouraging some socialization among employees, as long as they spend at least some of that time talking about work. Informal networks evolve from daily interactions, and the more time people spend discussing their work in these networks, the more people will learn about each other's jobs and how they can support each other's work, and consider the work of others when making individual decisions. The second is through mentorship or apprenticeship programs, even if these are largely informal. This functions the same as the socialization step, but allows for more easier crossing of hierarchies. After all, your boss, or in some cases your boss's boss, may not be someone that you informally socialize with every day. The third and fourth ways are linked to each other. They are to encourage and hold regular meetings. The first type of meetings should be scheduled and somewhat formalized. They can happen at all stages of a project or on a routine basis for ongoing work such as blood services and ma'ab sales. These meetings should discuss what we're doing, what challenges we are facing, and what we can do to improve. Is there any way we can make ma'ab sales and administration easier or generate more sales? Most of what people will say in these meetings will be tacit knowledge or suggestions, and don't be afraid to invite people who are not directly connected to these tasks. A new set of eyes and the addition of a mind that is unfamiliar with the established way of doing things can sometimes be the best way to shake things up. The fourth way is similar, but not formalized. It is to encourage collisions between your employees. Okay, not actual collisions. No, I don't want your employees to run into each other or crash vehicles in the parking lot. Collisions refers to an informal interaction that we have with other people when ideas and knowledge are shared. We're going to talk more about this in the culture module, but remember this term, collisions. The holy grail of knowledge management is how to take an individual's tacit knowledge and find ways to make it explicit or to transfer it tacitly to others, so that an entire organization is able to use and benefit from that knowledge. From what we have already learned about tacit knowledge, we know that this is inherently easier said than done because of the abstract nature of tacit knowledge. However, there are ways you can encourage the sharing of tacit knowledge and spread its benefits throughout an organization. Much of this can be accomplished through knowledge management leadership and culture, which we will be covering now in these e-learning videos. So keep these things in mind and remember that knowledge is the only resource which is not diminished by using or sharing it. Now that you know some knowledge management fundamentals, including terms, definitions, models, and types of knowledge, you are ready to learn more. Thanks again for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye now.